Hello everyone, welcome back to today's next tutorial. As I mentioned last time, we are planning today actually to deploy our current state of the game into phones. And feel free to leave some comments if you are facing some issues with screen resolutions, or maybe you are struggling to actually to enable your developer settings. So one step at a time. First, last time we write a few scripts, and we write one script for input from PC, and we write another script for input for Android where we use a gyroscope. So we write some dummy codes. They are not smart enough to actually determine what platform you're using it. We could, and I believe we will, address this issue later. But at the moment, to just disable script where we have input PC and enable Android. So it's kind of, instead of making it smart at a given time, we just do manually, which is just turn off or turn off a certain script depending where we're running. Under the edits and the project settings, under edit, and no, it is Control-Shift-B, build settings, that's one. I think it's a file, and yes, a file and build settings, that's where location. Make sure you are selected Android, and if you're selecting first time, you should have a button switch platform. So make sure you're under Android. You can see my settings. I have not changed anything. And one of the cool stuff, you should see your phone appeared here. If your phone is appeared here, it's you done everything correct, and now we just literally just press build. Okay, how to get your phone here? If it's first time for you, it's a different story. So I'm using Samsung Flow, and Samsung Flow has really great stuff where we can actually one second. Okay, where we can actually stream a phone screen into PC. So you can actually see I can go and control my phone. So how to get your phone appearing in a Unity builder. So one of the main tasks you need to do is to enable the developers or the developers mode, and to do that one under settings. Under settings, in the very bottom you have a developer options. By default, this option is not here, and each phone have a slightly different process you need to follow to enable this, to unhide this option. And I think in Samsung it is something to do with software information, and you need to press a build number 7 times. And you see no need developers mode has already been enabled. So each phone could be different. It could be somewhere else. You need to press a certain time, a certain field. Literally like I don't know, Knox version, and you need to press this. It doesn't do nothing, but you need to press, I don't know, 7 times, etc. For Samsung, it's a build number. You need to press 7 times, and after you do that, you have a developers option. In developers option, what is most important, number one, you need to do is USB debugging. That's one. You need to turn on USB debugging and agree with all warnings. I have a Xiaomi phone next to me. That phone is asking you to read warning at least 10 seconds until you can agree. Samsung actually has multiple windows appearing to you. Are you sure? Are you definitely sure? Etc. So your phone, and depending on the version of Android you're running, when you enable USB debugging, it will be asking various questions and confirmations you are sure, because it's you installing some application not from Google App Store. That means it's literally saying this: if you download some application from website and you installing in your computer, you can sorry, not computer, phone, you can install some really cheeky applications which reads your, I don't know, your screen and looking for your, I don't know, bank details, etc. I really don't know what they can do, but it just warnings you need to agree, because you writing script yourself, you as developer deploying the software, you know what you've done. You're not installing some cheeky stuff, you know, into your phone, unless you know how to do that one. Please leave a comment into your video how to do some crazy stuff with a computer, but sorry, with the phone. What else very interesting here is to refresh rates. We can actually not graphics drivers, show refresh rate. And if you click, you will see a refresh rate on the screen. And because this is a Samsung 21 Ultra, it does have this, what's it called? Adaptive refresh rate. So if I go in a home, I believe if I go home screen, it's it drops, it keeps on a 60 hertz frame. Okay, normally it is a case where it drops even to 1 frame per second, because it's nothing to update. But I think it's something is moving. Maybe because we connected to this Samsung Flow. That's why it could be possibility we facing this. Okay, so yeah, I done my bit with refresh rates. by saying what I mean by saying I done my bit. If you want, you can keep this show refresh rate, and especially when you're developing games, you want to make sure your game is not bottlenecking refresh rate. But to address this issue, okay, show refresh rate only is one step towards solution. You indicated the problem. Next, you actually need to find what is a problem, and that you need to do from Profilizer in Unity. And I strongly advise, if you have very low refresh rate because of game, like below 30s or below 60s, if normally your 60 and game is running below 60, I strongly advise to look some tutorials how to use Profilizer. But you know, this how to say, this playlist or this tutorials is not about Profilizer, so I'm turning off this. Let's go back to Unity. After you've done that one, sometimes you need to restart your Unity, turn off and turn on, and your phone should to appear here. If not, again, depending your Android version, depending your phone, it could be possible additional settings, such I saw in the previous Android versions. I saw where it is enabling USB debugging and allow Unity to install some softwares. You can do some permissions. So it's again a possibility. By the time you're watching this video, it's again changed, and it's very nature of Google. They keep changing everything. So just Google it, look for a video, depending your model of the phone, how to connect to the Unity. Okay, and when you're done, it should appear here. If not appearing, keep refresh, restart the Unity, look at the game, and then you just press build. And let's create a APK folder. Let's go in. Let's give a name. Gravity ball. Gravity ball underscore v.1.0. Okay, and save. So this will build and will launch a what's it called, a game into phone. So you don't need to do anything. And later on, when you do make changes by pressing Control B, you can actually test on your phone. Without, and why this is a step is a bit what's it called, easier to do. I will show you plan B if you're not managing for some reasons to do this way. I'll show you another way to do it. It's a bit longer, but it's easier to achieve and does not require some like developers modes or agreements or etc. It's you actually build the APK and you just copying into the phone and installing there. Okay, it took quite a lot because I think it's the first time. No adaptive performance provided. Okay, ignore. Let's go back to Samsung Flow. Yeah, and find lock. Okay, I cannot actually. We forgot to drag in the ball as a game object into our script. Let's save it. Slowly kisses passing by the river. Okay, found it a problem. So it was nothing to do with Samsung Flow blocking our gyroscope. I think I found a problem. And the problem is that we're trying to get a rigid body from our ball game object. If you follow this, we're saying ball that got component rigid body. If you look in our ball, the game object, we don't have a rigid body. What we have is rigid body 2D. And just by missing 2D in here and rigid body 2D here, gives an error, which one we're not seeing, and because we're not seeing this error, we can't determine what the hell is happening. To provide this problem in the future, I would add one more thing: enabling development builds. No need to deprofiling or script debugging. We can actually do script debugging, but not necessary. When you enable development build, be mindful of this. It will be lower refresh rate. It takes more time to launch the game, but any error message will be printed in a console. If something is not right, or every message you said saying like debug log. Do we have any example here somewhere? No, but in the manager. Yes, like this. So each message like this, debug.log, in the phone will be communicated back to our Unity, and we'll be seeing this. Okay, save, build and run. Do you want to replace? Yes. And when the Unity will finish building, it should to launch the game automatically. And we are still not able to control. Okay, let's have investigate again a bit more. Would help if the script of input Android would be enabled. For some reason it was disabled, and not sure where I pressed that to disable. And let's try one more time. Okay. Yes. Now you can see by me rotating the phone, able to actually control the phone left and right and trying to score the best scores. Okay. As you can see, we have a lot of problems, like sometimes if a ball is disappearing from a screen, and I think it's even fall out of a screen, but we'll actually addressing this one. The main goal today is actually to be able to deploy the game into your phone regardless what state it is. Okay. Yes, it does have some problems. Yeah. Let's wait a bit. Let's hit here. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Okay. So if you succeed to deploy your phone, to deploy your game into a phone and access the gyroscope and control the ball, regardless how realistic it looks, or if a ball goes out of the screen, below the screen, or it goes up and is no game over condition. We have not done that yet. But what we achieved today is actually we accessing gyroscope and we're controlling ball. Okay. Okay, let's do the next step. So second part of today's video will be we'll be addressing some triggers. And before we start doing it, I want to take a bit to give some theory behind the scenes, what's happening. So two things, or a few things first. So when we have an object, one game object, and we have a second game object, let's make it red, and you have a player, and you have, I don't know, let's say you have a bullet. Yep. So the efficient way to write a script is not to check if the bullet is hitting with the player, but it's opposite. It's to check if the player hits the bullet. And why we're doing this one? It's really simple. And why I choose the bullet for example, because it's really it's really good example. In the map we have thousands of bullets flying at the same time, depending on the shooting game, etc., etc. But we have only one or few players. It's much easier to write a script and attach on the player and check all collisions the player is doing with, instead of writing script on each bullet. We should sum in a year. Why we bothering run the script and keep checking if this bullet is hitting something? It's much easier just write one script on the player. Also think about larger games, because you will have not only bullets, you will have a floor, you will have walls, you have I don't know, some maybe terrain, some other players, etc., etc. So it's much easier just do one script on the player, check what player is colliding, and do this necessary, how to say, actions. Now, what kind of triggers we do have, and I think we're addressing all three today, even though it's much more, but it's only three main conditions we do have in the collision. So let me cut this one a bit. Yeah. So one of the collisions is on collide. So it is an action. It is a trigger point event when the two objects are colliding, and it will be happening only once. So if a player hits the bullet, it will be triggered at a point when he's entering. and while the player is within collision with with bullet, nothing happening. Then the player is exit the bullet collision, nothing happens. And if it hits again, it will be triggered again. Okay, that's number one. Second event is, I just mentioned about, is exit. So when the player hits the bullet, nothing happens. The player stays with the bullet, nothing happens, and the player exits the bullet trigger area. Then this event will be triggered. So enter and exit. And of course, there's a third condition, which is a stay. So nothing happens when it collides, nothing happens when it exits. It only will be triggering while it is within bullets environment. And it's a bit different from previous two, because entering and exiting will be only triggered once per event. So it will be happening when it hits, and it will be happening when it's left in this area. The on stay will be triggered every frame while the player and the bullet is colliding. So if our script is running 120 times, 120 frames per second, this collision will be triggered 120 frames, 120 times per second. Of course, for advanced developers who is on this channel, if is any, would straight away say, no, it's not right. Yes, it's not 120 frames per second. Actually, physics engine runs on a separate thread, on a separate time scale, and is determined time scale to calculate our physics etc collisions. But for sake of simplicity, it will be run as many times as a script is running. So yeah, you geeks, you can behave. Give a credit to the new guys who is watching this. Okay. So one more time, very quick summary. We have three conditions of collision. We have enter, we have exit, and we have stay. These three conditions could be multiplied times 2 for 2D and 3D. So we have each of them in 2D and 3D. So let's have a do math a bit. It will become very quick. So we have enter, then we have a exit, and we have a stay. Yeah. Then we can multiply this by 2. So we have a 2D, and 3D. Yeah. Now we need to multiply again by 2, and this is different. So how to explain now? It is two different types of colliders. The first one of the one type of colliders are triggers. A triggers is a collision where the object, our player, can pass through. We can create the trigger game objects like finish line. We can create some maybe in a game, maybe we create some power-ups where the player is not bullet. Let's imagine this is a power-up for, I don't know, extra speed or slow down all the game, or and anything what you can think. So the player will be going past collecting this power-up. So if a player is, let's say, if the force is going from left to right, it just pass without affecting its path. It's a trigger. It doesn't have collision, but it triggers some action. Take this one a power up and add to the player. So let's say it speed ups, and remove this game object, maybe do some particles, like, you know, you get power up, so, you know, give a bit, you know, maybe shake screen, etc. I don't know, effects. So it is a, what's it called, trigger. A second type, it is collider. So trigger and collider, and the collider is different. Collider is actually, it has a physical body and the player cannot pass. It will hit, and if it has bounciness, it will bounce back, etc. our walls. If this rigid, if a bullet has also rigid body, it bounce and both objects go left and right. You know, they bounce from each other. Our walls does not have rigid body. It's a solid and stationary object, so only the player is bouncing off. If we add some rigid bodies to our walls, it will get crazy. You know, we bounce on the wall and the wall actually moves. Also, we can, it's really cool because we can actually determine with both balls, we can determine weights. So let's say this is a rubber ball and this red one a metal ball. So we can actually bounce, and you can write some script where you will see the rubber ball bouncing in the metal and see how it's affecting, you know, from gravity perspective, etc. So yeah, so trigger box and collider. I hope so it makes sense. Determine which one is which one. So we have a trigger, I think it's double G, and collider. Yeah, I hope this is called collider. Let me double check. If we go in a ball, we have a rigid body. We have trigger. I definitely know somewhere it was here. Yeah, it is a collider. Yes, it's collision and trigger. Yeah. Okay, let's call them trigger and collider. Okay, and this will end up by 3 times 2 times 2 times 2, and if my math is not wrong, we end up with 12 different what's it called, 12 different trigger, you know, trigger boxes, yeah, or collisions in the physics. This number all the time will be only half, because either way your game is 2D or 3D. So by half you end up with the 6 different options. Yeah. So we end up with 6 different options. And today I will try, guys, to showcase as many as I can. To showcase as many as I can for you. Okay. So as I mentioned, as a best practice is actually to attach this script of collision on our player. We don't have player in our game. We do have a ball, which is our main character, or a main, you can say, as a player. So we create in a script. Let's create a script folder. Let's create a script we call ball. We just call it ball. Okay. And yeah, let them to build it up. Okay, let's open it. Okay, and delete this ones. Some cleaning. Okay, so what we will need is rigid body. Oh, rigid body 2D. We call a rigid body, and rigid body, we need to get it. So it's a get component rigid body 2D. So we don't need to say this. You can, but it's literally just not determining, like this ball, get component, etc., etc. When you're not defining game object, sorry if I'm repeating myself, but when you're not defining a game object, where from you need to get this add-on, the script is assuming you want to get rigid body from a game object which this script is attached to. So if we go back to our game, we go in a ball, we add the script, and the script we'll assume you want a rigid body 2D from the same game object. And if we can look up a bit above, yes, we have a rigid body 2D, component, attached to the same game object. So script is like, okay, yeah, I'll get the rigid body, and it will be called RB. Okay, so what we want to do first: score. We want to do platform. We want to do falling curve, maybe falling trigger. Let's do falling trigger. Okay, so I'm thinking now, because stays, trigger exit. I'm thinking for just I don't want it to start with this trigger staying, but it looks like, let's do entering actually. Okay, so very cool thing, depending your software you're using to code it. If you start writing private, or not even private, you can just start saying on trigger, and you see this one, on trigger enters to D, exit to D, stay to D, etc. Also on collision, and the same on collision, enter, exit, and stay. So it's a 6 different options for you, because we'll be using only 2D. So 3 for collisions and 3 for collider. First we'll be using is on trigger enters 2D. Yeah, and let's leave it here, because we need to do a lot in editor before we go there. So how the player, then the player will collide with something. Yeah. When the player collides with something, how we determine with what we collide. We collide with a bullet, or we collide with a wall, or we collide with something else. You know, we need to determine this one, because we need to know where we're getting score, or it's a game over, or the ball is falling behind us, behind a screen. So one of the very simple way is to use tags. In Unity, you can see tags above on the top right corner. For each game object, when you select each game object, you can actually add the tag. It's some basic tags, and also you have add tag function, where we can, by just pressing plus symbol, you can add a tag. And the first tag we need to create is a score. Yeah, let's create a score. Save. Okay, and yes, score, and it's a trigger. Quick reminder, a trigger means that the player will be passing that object without changing its direction. It's just for event. And in our case, when we have a when we have a platform, then we have a gap. Let's scroll a bit left. And you have a gap. We want to create a trigger box, an empty game object, because we don't need any visualization represented. We don't need any visualist reference. For power-ups, you need to put something there, so the player knows if he reaches that location, he gets something. In our situation, because the player is falling from a gap, we don't need any, like, I don't know, we don't need to put star here saying, oh, if you fall and you touch the star, you get a score. No, if you manage to go one level below, you get a score. So what we need to do is actually to create a trigger box. Then the ball will be falling through the gap, it will triggers. Why I draw halfway down, not something like this? It's two things. Depending how engine works, sometimes a ball can actually get a few pixels below the platform, depending the frame rate, depending your engine, depending your phone, etc., etc. It should be corrected until it will be drawn on your screen. So as a player, you will be not seeing this. The problem is if a trigger box is the same level with the platform, it could trigger the score. And we don't want it to do. We want to know when the ball actually falls through the gap, not touch the platform. So it's really safe to create a trigger box, same size as a platform, just half platform below. It makes life very easy. Also, it makes sense just to make a trigger box across the screen. And we can make only for the gap, but that will have a problem. Which how to explain it? This will lead to the problem where we need to know where the gap is. If the gap is here, we need to move the trigger box also here. Yes, we can do, and it's easy to achieve, but it's necessary computation. What we can do, we just create a trigger box which matches our screen, and each time a ball jumps down, we trigger the box regardless where the gap is. The gap could be here. It still goes and triggers the box. Gap can be here. Ball goes and still hits the trigger box. So yeah, we do this. And this trigger box, by the way, must to have, very, very important, must to have tag score. So we just created a tag which called score, and we need to attach to that game object, empty game object, put it this way. Okay. And to achieve this, let's go in our prefabs. And we have a platform prefab. Double click, we're opening. And we already have a trigger box named scored. It's already there. Yeah, happy days. Let me double check with let's get out manager, turn off Android, turn on PC, hit a play. Yeah, hit a pause, and let's have a look. Platforms, first one, yes. Let's turn on gizmos. Where are you? Okay, here you are. Okay, platform and score. Yes, our score is already done. So I wasn't sure have we done it or not. Apparently we already done it in previous video. So our score is already half platform lower, and it is a trigger. So it is already marked as a trigger. If you untick this box, the ball will be not able to pass. It will collide and stays there. So when you create the box and you select it as a trigger, as I mentioned before, the ball will be just passing, not changing the path. So we've done all the homework. We created this what's it called? We created a box collider, empty game object. Only what we have not done is to give it a tag. So select that score game object and select score. So this object has a tag of score. The game object name could be anything. Doesn't matter. What we care is its tag. I'm following very simple rule all the time. Every tag should be very simple and always lowercase. So because I've been in positions where I was questioning myself why this game doesn't work, and the most reason was just because I misspelled the tag and nearly pulling hairs out. What the hell I'm doing wrong? And it's literally just the tag was misspelled. So that's why I created rules for myself. I think I saw somewhere it's Code Monkey or something where simple tags with lower cases, which makes a lot of sense to you and saves from a lot of problems. Okay, back to this one. So it's very simple. If collision, so collision, it is an object we're colliding, this trigger we colliding with. It's called trigger box. It could be trigger circle, trigger sphere, trigger. I don't know how many trigger versions we have, but this is that green. You saw green lines around. That is a trigger box. We colliding with. So what are we saying? It's a collision dot tag. Oh, sorry. Collision dot tag is equal to score. And that's why we need to know how we spell it, because it is no how I say any checks. I can do score a type anything, no error. This is not linking to your tags. So if you misspelled here, the what's it called, Microsoft Visual Studio doesn't know about that one and not give you any warning. You just your script will be not working and you don't know why. Okay, that's why. Yeah, keep it simple. Okay, if a collision tag is score, let's put this one a debug dot log ball just no, player just got one level down. Okay, and okay, applies, gets a score on trigger enters. Okay, and yeah, is that everything? Come platform, add a score. Okay, and I'm thinking I'm missing something. It looks very simple. This could be very simple. Just trying to overcomplicate it. Let's have a play game. Open console. Let's open console, and yeah, if I get down, yeah, you see, player just get one level down. Yeah, and we're getting message every time I go to one level down. Okay, very simple. Okay, next step. Let's finish this part. Player just got one down. So we are colliding with we are colliding with game object in prefab. So we're colliding with this score box. Yeah, the score box doesn't have any script. Who has a script is its parent platform. We have a platform, and inside in the platform we do have a script says add a score. Yeah, and we adding score. One of the cool things is that what we need to prevent, if it's possible to draw somewhere here. Yeah, let's draw here. What we need to prevent also, and well, we already did it. I just want to one more time to say it, that it should be something like this. Yeah, okay, great. So then the ball goes down, and let's say we have a platform. It gets a score because we just entered it. It stayed, we entered here, this the trigger. It stayed within the trigger here and exits trigger here. The problem is if it bounces back and let's say goes up and touch again, we don't want it to give a score second time. And the reason is because it's really simple. We already gave a what's it called, a score. What we have done brilliant here, because we have a boolean, if it's scored, so mean this platform already gave a score, we ignoring anymore. We ignoring adding score request. We done once. This platform is already gave a score to a player. Forget about it. Okay. Okay. So add a score, and as I said, score game object score with a with a box collider 2D. The box collider 2D does not have a script of platform. What it does have, its parent. So how to do this in code is very simple. We go with a collision, then we go transform, and parent. So transform allows us to move in hierarchy. It allows us to go in child, get child, and you need to pass like with child, a first one, second one, third one, fourth one, etc. If we look from parent's platform position, it has 3 childs. It has 1, 2, 3 childs, and which will be 0, 1, and 2. From a score perspective, it does have only 1 parent, and how hierarchy works, it always only 1 parent. So transform dot parent, dot get component. We want a platform. Okay, we're really good now. So what we done is, okay, collision is a score because the tag is score. Okay, in collision, transform, get a parent, which one is platform. Okay, good stuff. Now get component, platform script, good stuff. What do we want to do with that script? Well, we want to do very simple. Add score. We just hit a collision, which one is tag score. What we want to do is to add the score. We don't need to debug this one anymore. And the really cool add score does is actually checks if we already had added score for this platform. So we don't need to do here. And the very simple thing is, because you don't want to do here when you have this what's it called, a physics engine checking collisions, you want to pass to another script, etc., outside of this on trigger enter td. Okay, and that's it. Do we have anything here? Yes, we do. So we should see all the time 3 points added to our score. If we run a game, let's run it. Let's have a console. Open it. Let's run. Okay, and regardless how many times we bounce it, it always should be 3 points. You can see in the bottom. Yeah, it's a 3 point. It's a 3 point, and again it's 3 points. Yeah. And it's a reason because we need to make another trigger enter, and we can do now. So I just showed you on trigger enter td, and as I said, a trigger is where the ball passed through. We have another on collision enter 2D. Yeah, same stuff. Just different is that when we're entering in trigger, it is an object where we will pass through. On collision enter, it is object where we're not passing through and we collide with, etc. walls. But we don't need to write a script for walls. Physics engine can do this itself. We don't need to write a script for platforms. The ball is already colliding with it and bouncing off the platforms. But why are we writing this then? Well, we need to do some logics because we want to calculate how many times the ball is actually hitting the platform. More times player is hitting the ball with the platform, less points he gets. The player managed to get through the level just from a hole directly, top score 3 points. Hits once, 2 scores, etc. I think we have here all that written. Okay, so first of all, we need to know a tag. As previously, we know what we're colliding with score. If we go back in a game, platform left and platform right doesn't have any tag. It says untagged. So what we need to do is to go and give a tag. We don't have a tag, which one we would like to use for this purpose. So we press add tag. We hit plus symbol and we name it a platform. And believe me how many times I press save and I'm assuming this tag was added to this game object. It does not. Believe me guys, it does not. Take this one a note. put a note, a sticker somewhere on your screen. You create a tag, it's not adding to game object. You still need to select game object and you still need to go and add it. Select object, press and add it. Okay, and it's very important because I've done a few many times. Okay, also platform left and right is prefabs. So if we press override and apply, same to do for platform right, overrides and apply. Okay, good stuff. Now let's back in our script. If collision dot tag, not collision, aha, it is collision. No, it's not collision, it is collision collider. Oh, sorry. It is collision dot collider dot tag. You see, we just treated straight away we treat platform. You can see we are treating this functionality a bit differently. On trigger, you just collision dot tag, but on collision, like on collision where we have collision not collider, you need to go collision collider tag is a platform. Okay, so it's a bit slightly different how we treat each of them. Okay, so here we can say we don't need to debug. We can say collision. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Collision dot transform dot parent dot get component platform. Okay, and what we want to do is not add the score. We want I think it's called the hit or something like this. Let's have a look. Add a score. No. Setup trigger, setup platform, reset, get height, update. Oh, very simple. It's no function. We just need to say hits is ++. So this is a number of hits we tracking how many times we hit the same platform. So by doing like this, we increasing number. So it's a 1, 2, and 3, and then we finally we pass this level. Depending how many times we hit it, a different score will be added, and we can actually test this one already. So please take attention in the console in the corner, and we'll try to hit 3 points. Yeah, 3 points. Now it should be 1. Okay, we already hit. Yeah, 1 point, 2 points. Yeah, 1 point, 1 point. Okay, let's have a try to get a bit more. 3 points should be, no, 2 points. Yeah, 3 points. Yes, because managed to get through. So if you're really good, it's you can at least get 2 points every bounce. Of course, we have some problem in the bottom. We're coming to sort it out because it's on the bottom. We don't have a bouncingness enough. But yeah, you see, we're having different scores depending how many times we hit the platform. So works. Okay, we just talk about entering trigger and entering collision. I hope so it makes sense what is different and what use cases per trigger is. Now we need to do this on. It's not. Is it trigger? Yeah, it's a trigger. Okay, on trigger stay 2D. That's a good one. When our ball is falling and it's reaching, when we have like, you know, this is our screen, and we will create, we already created actually. We already created the trigger box when the ball is falling, and can't remember how we did it. I can't remember how we did it, but I need to have a look into it. But then our ball is falling down and hits very close to the what's it called, end of the screen. We want to we want to, remove velocity and the velocity down and speed up the screen up. We kind of doing something like this. The problem is when any platform comes and it hits the ball, how physics works, it moves the ball out, but it doesn't give any bounciness. What we need to do is we need to fake the bounciness, so it looks like the ball was falling and bounce back. It tricks the player, but a lot of things in the game is actually tricks, which one fakes some physics, fakes some graphics, fakes the gravity, etc., etc. Let me check really quick how we did last time with this falling ball. Something to do with a platform manager or a platform or manager itself. Let's have a look. We have a manager, we have a platform manager, and we have a gravity. Maybe gravity PC? No, nothing to do with gravity PC. Platform manager. Screen get update check falling. Yes, we do some check falling. If a ball position is this and this, we falling speed is 5. And what are we using this one? We're using this one in update. Fixed update, platform update, falling speed. Okay, yeah. So at the moment, what we're doing is if the ball reaches a certain location, we speed up things. And camera mean falling trigger. So the falling trigger is 20% to fifth of a half screen. It's really hard to calculate, actually. Okay, fifth of half screen. That's really good. Let's have a look in my notes. I haven't made notes on this one. So platforms, and we have a falling trigger zone, and we need to turn on gizmos. Okay, falling trigger zone. Oh, okay, I can see now. Yeah. It is 10, size of 10. Offset is 1 scale is 1, and the position is below screen. So it's just literally like this. Okay. Okay, so looking at my notes, what I found is the best is to actually create in the platforms. We create empty game object. We will call a falling trigger. Falling trigger will have only one component, which one is box collider. Box collider, we want to put X, we want to make 10. Happy days, make it big and thick. Size 1, and we want to make it what? We want to make minus 4.6. So just slightly below the screen. Yeah, and we have this. As we previously did, we are missing tag. So add a tag. What we can give name falling trigger. Okay, save. And again, creating tag does not apply to game object. We still need to go select game object and add this falling trigger tag to that game object. Now it must be a trigger, so it's not a body. It is a trigger. So select that. Save it. Let's go back to our script, and under the ball, on collider stay steady, we want to say what we want to say. Okay, yeah, we check if collision tag is equal to falling trigger. Okay, falling trigger. As long as ball is touching this collider on the bottom, we do something. So it will be not once, it will be not triggered once. So the ball is falling, and it's when it's entering, it hits only once. So the event will be occurred only once. This is a different. As long as the ball is touching that collision, that box, something will be happening. And what we want to do is we want to nullify a gravity. So we want to say that RB dot gravity scale is equal to 0. And we want to say that RB dot velocity is equal to new vector 2. And we want to say, okay, we don't want it to touch your velocity left and right. If it was going left, very steep corner, we want to leave it for one. So velocity dot x. We not want to change it, whatever it was. What I mean by not changing, if I do this, RB dot velocity dot y. If I write a line like this, that means I haven't done any changes. Rigid body velocity is equal velocity x and velocity y, the same. So velocity didn't change. Magic happens if I swap them backwards. I can put y and I can make x. So you'll make it ball to move in the mirrored version. If it was going left down, it becomes right up, etc. But what we want to do here today is we don't want it to change its velocity in x-axis, but we want to stop it falling down and reach area outside of the screen. So gravity is 0, and whatever velocity was down, or well, it's not up because you just touch. It's definitely not up because the ball just hit this box on the bottom. So it definitely was going down. So what we want to say is no more gravity and don't go any more down. So the ball literally sticks in that location, But because we're not touching x, the ball will be still moving left and right. If the ball was moving like this, when it touches this box, it will start moving only like this. And because when we touch the bottom of the screen, the falling speed also increased of all the platforms. It will look very great. It will look like it's going down, where everything speeds up, so it's still going down. It's because as developers, we know what's happening behind the screen. We simulating and we tricking this falling experience for a user. Yeah, it looks great. It balls goes down, it bounces off, and etc. etc. Okay, we are ready to test it out. The problem is that when the ball hits the bottom, we don't have what's it called to turn back the gravity yet. So before we're testing, let's do another one. On trigger, exit 2D. So this event will happen when the ball leaves that platform, and that's happen, not platform, sorry, that trigger box. So the ball is falling down. It sticks here, starts moving left or right. The platform's coming from bottom and very fast speed. And when the platforms comes in the same location where the ball is, and it hits and pulls the ball up out of its trigger box. When the platform pulls out, what we want to do is to turn on a, what's it called? We want to turn back the gravity. Okay? So, if collision dot tag is equal to falling not equal is comparisons trigger falling trigger, yeah, correct spelling. Okay, and if a tag is this one, so we want to say rigid body dot gravity scale is back to 1. So we have a normal scale of gravity, what we have set up before, and RB velocity velocity is equal to new vector 2, and here again we don't want it to touch the velocity or of x-axis, wherever it's moving left or right, we don't want to, but it's here will be great. So when the platform is pulling out the ball out of that trigger, we want to simulate some bouncingness. The physics did not pick up this because it's literally like a soft touch. We're still running this at the time when the platform will touch the ball. And because we overwriting bouncingness at the time we touch each other, no bouncingness will happening. Next frame, when this happened, and we overwrite at 0. Next frame, the ball is pulled out of that one, but where is bouncing gone? Because the ball was, from player's perspective, the ball was falling down at very, very fast speed and suddenly hits the platform, but no bouncing happened. So what we need to do is to actually simulate the bouncingness, giving like 6 of velocity up. Yeah, we don't need to time delta time because it occurs only once, and you can play with this one. You can even increase if you think after, I don't know, the ball start falling down 2-3 platforms, you can give some particles like, oh, that ball literally fires up because of speed, and when it hits the platform, the bounciness could be so high, it's literally like explodes a bit or something between these lines. Okay, so this is what number you can play with. So on trigger exit, if a falling trigger, gravity scale back to 1, this is a 0, this is becomes 0, so we nullify all the gravity, and here we simulate manually a bouncingness back. Okay, and I think that's will do the main bits of, that's right. Okay. It still falls. Oh, I'm missing something. Okay, let me check. This feels like we're missing something. Falling trigger. Falling trigger is a trigger, and it is. Is it very too low? Let's write a script where we exit exciting. So debug.log. Ball just exit falling trigger. Yep, so this is happening, and let's have a look. We're printing some scores, which one we should not. Let's have a look here. No, ball debug. I'm looking for one debug. So if you double click on any message, it should point you to location where it was printed from. It should. Or we can just have a look where it come from. It came from, oh my gosh. It came from a physics engine in player's loop. So that's why it's not giving me direct message. So it's somewhere in what's it called, within colliders. Debug. No. Yeah, that's one. No, that's one we just created. Platform. Yeah, that's one. You want to get mixed messages between. Okay, so let's give it a bit more space here. Okay, let's hit a run. Okay, and I can definitely see that the ball is actually falling below. Oh, Silly me. No, I thought we didn't never add it to the script, but as you can see, we're not getting message that the ball is actually interacting with falling trigger. And the falling double L and G trigger, falling trigger, double G. Falling, yeah, double G. That's exactly what I mentioned before. Spelling is very important, and just because I've been in this position so many times, I already know that one of the possibilities why it doesn't work. Just check the tags. Unity actually could upgrade this one a bit more, actually giving you an error if you misspell the tag. Nice. Yeah. Oh, very nice. Actually, 6 looks very... You see how the ball is actually literally hovering in the space? Yay. You see, it looks like it's falling, and the camera is following him in on a screen. It looks beautiful. I think it's a bit too much bouncing of 6. It looks like very bounce back, but you know, you can play with your numbers, what you think is the best, or even make a theme, you know. But yes, it's definitely a higher bounce when compared to normal bounce from a platform. Yay. Okay, nice. I like how it looks. I think we can wrap up. Today's tutorial here. So what we managed to do is, I don't know why my ball is here actually. Let's put it back in 0, 0. Okay. So in today's lesson we touched how to deploy on a phone. We also touch theory, how many different, what is different between trigger box and colliders, and how many different versions we have. We have entering, exiting, and staying, and also we have of each version we have 3D or 2D version. And in today's lesson, I think we touched entering both different versions. We enter it, we stayed, and we exit of one of the triggers. Okay, so very cool stuff. And yeah, in the next lesson, I think we will be addressing score system, and we will start displaying some points, total points, somewhere on the screen. Okay, so happy coding, and I see you next. Bye. And